In the sweltering haze of September 1944, on the coral-fringed island of Pelileo in the Palau archipelago, the dense jungle canopy dripped with incessant tropical moisture. The air was thick with the heavy scent of rotting vegetation and damp earth, the incessant hum of insects pierced only by sporadic crocks of small arms fire echoing through the tangled undergrowth, while distant artillery rumbled like approaching thunder. This moment inaugurated one of the Pacific War's most grueling campaigns, where American forces under Major General William Rupertus launched Operation Stalemate II to seize Palileo's vital airfield. The objective was to neutralize Japanese air power threatening Allied advances toward the Philippines and ultimately Japan itself. Japanese defenders, approximately 11,000 strong from Colonel Kunio Nakagawa's 14th Infantry Division, reinforced by naval units, had transformed the island into a fortress. Army and naval engineers had labored for months, excavating hundreds of caves, tunnels, and reinforced bunkers into the jagged Brogal ridges and coral outcroppings, connecting them with intricate trench networks. Concrete and natural rock provided what they deemed impregnable shelter against conventional bombardment. The Japanese engineers and soldiers expected their fortifications to prevail. Trained in defensive doctrine emphasizing attrition and fanatical resistance, they anticipated American assaults would falter against layered defenses proven resilient to high explosive shells and strafing runs. Their ideology, rooted in Bushido and imperial destiny, assured them that superior spirit would triumph over material odds, allowing isolated garrisons to bleed the enemy dry in prolonged jungle stalemate. The engineers took pride in their meticulous calculations: bunkers angled to deflect shells, tunnels ventilated for sustained occupation, positions camouflaged amid thick foliage that would shield them from aerial observation. What they experienced instead was a cataclysm of fire that defied engineering. As United States Marine Corsair fighters thundered low over the canopy, releasing napalm canisters that detonated into surging sheets of flame, the jungle erupted in uncontrollable infernos. The gelatinous mixture of gasoline and thickener clung tenaciously to leaves, branches, and human skin, spreading rapidly through the humid underbrush and penetrating cave entrances with searing heat exceeding 1,000 degrees Celsius. Oxygen was devoured in the blaze, suffocating defenders deep within their shelters. Infantry followed, advancing methodically with flamethrowers that projected streams of the same incendiary gel into bunker slits, turning confined spaces into crematoria. Historical records confirmed the scale. More than 14,000 tons of napalm were expended across the Pacific theater during the Second World War, comprising two-thirds of total production, with concentrated application in island campaigns like Pelileo. Marine aviators from squadrons such as VMF 114 conducted direct close support strikes, dropping napalm in sorties so brief the aircraft barely cycled their landing gear. Post-battle assessments documented Japanese positions reduced to ash-choked ruins. Bunkers engineered to withstand naval gunfire collapsed not from blast, but from sustained thermal assault. Captured documents and interrogations of survivors, including engineering officers from the Imperial Japanese Navy's construction battalions, revealed admissions of utter vulnerability. One such account described flames that devoured the air itself, rendering ventilation systems lethal traps and concrete barriers irrelevant as temperatures melted equipment and charred flesh. Official United States Army reports tallied thousands of Japanese fatalities attributable to incendiary effects, far outpacing those from conventional ordnance in certain sectors. This stark reality transformed perceptions. Japanese engineers who viewed their work as the pinnacle of defensive science confronted the obsolescence of their designs against American innovation. The event eroded faith in fortified isolation as a path to victory, exposing how imperial ideology, centered on spiritual invincibility and sacrificial endurance, faltered before overwhelming technological and logistical superiority. Soldiers who once believed caves granted sanctuary now witnessed comrades incinerated alive, their resolve fracturing under the psychological weight of inescapable flame. Across the Pacific campaigns, this shifted broader military doctrine, compelling frantic adaptations that proved ultimately futile. Throughout the ordeal, the flamethrower emerged as a recurring emblem of American abundance. Strapped to the backs of advancing Marines, its fuel tanks represented the prodigious industrial output of a democratic society. Factories operating without interruption, resources drawn from a vast continent and allied supply lines, producing munitions and fuel in quantities unimaginable to resource-starved Japan. The flamethrower's precise, controllable jet of napalm contrasted with the defender's scarcity, underscoring how democracy's decentralized ingenuity and economic freedom translated into relentless material dominance. Where Japanese engineers rationed concrete and steel, the flamethrower's sustained bursts embodied plenty, a weapon not born of desperation, but of calculated plenty that could be expended without hesitation. In jungle clearings and ridge assaults alike, its presence signaled not merely destruction, but the inexhaustible capacity of free enterprise to arm its forces beyond measure. In the epilogue of Peleliu's scorched ridges, where blackened stumps stood sentinel over silent bunkers, the experience revealed a larger truth. The unquenchable flames born of American abundance illuminated how democratic ideals, rooted in liberty, innovation, and shared prosperity, could forge weapons of decisive power, outmatching the rigid hierarchies of empire. Freedom's forge produced not only steel, but resilience, turning the tide of jungle warfare and affirming that abundance sustained by open societies ultimately prevails over ideologies demanding endless sacrifice without reward. The fires that shocked the engineers thus whispered of a world remade, where the light of liberty consumes the shadows of conquest.